We will go live here shortly. You only live once. What's going on? How you doing? We'll go live here in a few minutes. Give people several moments to hop in the live. We'll also go live on Instagram. And today we're going to talk about, are you in a state of confusion? Are you in a state of confusion? Do you guys help create LLCs correctly? Yes. Yes, we do. Let me give you my email address. Are you in a state of confusion? Y'all already know the drill. Drop your name, your business name, what city you chiming in from. We're going to talk about, are you in a state of confusion? Now, the reason I came up with this topic is I've been speaking with a lot of people as of late, and I'm noticing a lot of people are having a hard time, you know, getting, and I'm going to keep using the word unstuck. What up, Dave? What's going on, man? People are having a hard time getting unstuck in where they are. And I'm often asking people, why are you stuck? And they always say, I'm scared, it's fear. Like they come up with all of these excuses. And you guys, excuse me, I'm looking at two screens. I'm looking at my Instagram page and I'm looking at YouTube. See, we got Chicago in the house, Rockford, Tampa, welcome. And so I'm often talking to people and I'm asking, are they confused? And let me give you guys a couple definition of confused. And I want you to ask yourself, is this you? When it comes to your goals, when it comes to your life, when it comes to making decisions, I want to ask yourself, is this you? And I'm going to read you a couple things to help you out with that. All right. So the first thing, confused, mentally uncertain, or lack of understanding. What's up, London? Mental uncertainty or lack of understanding. I want to ask yourself, is that you? Access to capital. Okay. We can talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Are you confused? Here's another one. Are you in random motion? Being confused also means you're in random motion. Now, we hear the word confused, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a state, it's a condition you're in. We just have to figure out how to increase your level of awareness to get you out of that condition. So it's not that and I want you to be extremely honest with yourself. Are you in a state of confusion? Are you within random motion? If you are doing random motion, do you feel like the hamster on the wheel? Do you feel like every time you take 5 steps, you take 25 back? See, what happens is, and I'm noticing this a lot when I'm working with individuals, people are going into things and scenarios and into business, into partnerships, into deals, into organizations, into all of these different things with no purpose. And when you go into something without a purpose, that's random confusion. And then let me tell you what happens after that. Then we're surrounded by people who are also confused. We go get advice from people who are also confused. And then they're dealing with people who are confused. And so we're sitting in a big pile of random motion with a bunch of other people who are operating in random motion. This is why people are stuck. This is why people are operating without purpose. Now, people think purpose is that one thing where you're like, okay, I want to find that thing that I'm going to do that's going to make me happy and I'm going to serve my creator's dream. Like that's not really what purpose is. That is not what purpose is. People think purpose is, okay, I want to find that one thing that I'll be happy with doing, and it'll be me serving my community, me serving my family. Thank you for the badges. That's not purpose. Yes, that's why I'm working on changing me to attract the right sources. So let me ask you this, official beautiful journey. Do you attract the right sources or do you create the right sources? Let me ask you, do you attract the right sources or do you create them? Because here's the thing I want to say. This whole manifestation, this law of attraction, you still have to create the environment. I'll give you an example. Can you write on a sheet of paper every single day, I will be the greatest athlete. I will be the greatest athlete. I will be the greatest athlete. If you've never stepped foot in a gym, so can you attract being a great athlete if you've never been inside of a gym? Can you attract money if you're not putting yourself in if you're in random confusion, if you're in random motion of trying to do things to make money? How do you speak? So somebody says speak it into existence. You speak it to create it. The only reason you speak it is so that you can create it. I can't say I'm gonna be the greatest athlete of all time if I'm not willing to work on the skills it takes for me to be the best athlete. I have, and I'm working towards it now. I see the change of people. Good stuff. See, so we have to, so that's what I mean by when I say, do you have purpose? So, what is your purpose of whatever it is you're looking to accomplish? What is your purpose? Let me give you guys some other words of confusion. Distraught. Are you distraught? Are you perplexed? You guys might want to look these words up. See, the thing that I'm learning is that a lot of the times we're utilizing words and we really don't truly know the definition of the words. Are you baffled? I really want to give back to the community, the youth. Let's talk about that, official beauty. Let's talk about that. So, a lot of people, they say their purpose is to give back. But how can you give back if you don't have a game to play? The word manifestation has so many in a state of confusion. That's my point, Nico. That is my point. The word manifestation has so many people in a chokehold and have them so confused. We think that we can manifest our way to greatness. We think we, and again, manifestation has now become hoping. Manifestation has now become speak it into existence. Let me tell you what speaking it into existence is. Speaking things into existence is you announcing it, and then you have that is now your accountability for you to go out there and actually put in the work. That is how you speak things into existence. What we end up doing is we say it 100 times and think that we can just sit on the couch. We say it 100 times and we think that we just going in. Most people don't even have a plan. Most people don't even have a plan. And so going back to what official beautiful journeys mentioned is that we often say my purpose is to give back to my community. No, that is not a purpose. The purpose is you have to go into it with the purpose, meaning the purpose is an end result. The giving back to the youth, that's a goal. That's an accomplishment. But what is your purpose? Your purpose is, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to the purpose is the journey. The purpose is the journey. The purpose is, okay, what is your end result? Not is what your end goal is. Yeah, I'm on YouTube as well too, King Anwar. Let me know if you can see me on there. Only thing holding me back is capital and aging my credit cards to get funding. Okay, you only live once. What have you done about that? Hopefully you've put together a plan or you've spoken with a professional. Purpose is a desire. See, I, I wanted to come on here and really address this because how do we know all of these terms, but we're still confused? How are we manifesting every day? How are we saying we're doing dream boards every day, every year? Like, how are we doing the exact same things every day? Excuse me, every day, every year, but the needle is not moving within in your life. That is what is called random motion, aka confusion. But then here's what ends up happening. Here's what ends up happening. Are we willing to make the necessary sacrifices to clear up that state of confusion? We say yes, but we complain about what stuff costs. We complain about the time frame it takes. We lack follow through. We're lacking professionalism. We want the lifestyle without putting in the work. Hence, this is what puts us in random motion. Let me tell you another thing that happens. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Let me tell you another thing that happens. A lot of people need a mentor to make the move and take the leap. No, just take the leap. You don't need the mentor to take the leap. You just take the leap and then figure out what you need from there. And let's just say, even though let's just say it is a mentor that people say they need. Okay. We can say that, okay, the money is stopping us. Okay, that could be a fact. But let me ask you a question. How bad does one really want it? See, I had a client, a lot of people need therapy. I agree. Because a lot of it is financial trauma. A lot of it is financial trauma. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Y'all like my credit is king mug? Y'all like my credit is king mug. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you why so many people are in a state of confusion. Because your parents was in states of confusion. Your girlfriend's in a state of confusion. Your boyfriend's in a state of confusion. Your homeboy, your homegirl, your employer, your teachers, your pastor. You're surrounded by people who have you in states of confusion because nobody know what the hell they're doing. And then we continuously go and get advice. See, most of the time, we find ourselves wanting advice from people who are going to tell us what makes us feel good, not what is right. See, we associate our feelings as a barometer of, if I feel this way, that means that this is the right thing to do. No, your feelings doesn't mean that something is right. This is why the terminology of emotional intelligence comes into play, because regardless of how I feel about a particular issue, problem, situation, or scenario, that does not mean that the desired outcome is what is right for you at that particular time. This is what I mean. I know people who say, oh, I've worked hard every day, I deserve a vacation. Now, if your money is not right, do you deserve a vacation? Because last time I checked, as an adult, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to work hard every day. I know people who say, oh, it's my birthday coming up. I want to celebrate my birthday. Why are you celebrating poverty? What is it to celebrate within your life when you're in the same position from the last 5 birthdays. And so if you're not willing to sell out for yourself, for your goals, so you can get out of that state of confusion, I guarantee you, immediately right after your birthday, you're going to feel the exact same way you felt all year. And this is why so many people are unhappy, because they are trying to live their life with the desired expectation of what they think they should get out of life because of how they feel. Oh, I feel down. Let me go shopping. I feel down. Let me go get a massage. I feel this way. So let me go and blow my money. But we don't ever calculate all of that money that we're spending to make us feel good because of how we deserve something. And then when it comes time to invest in business, to invest in real estate, to invest to fix your credit, that made me that and not invest necessarily for credit repair, but to invest to pay your bills down. See, we tell ourselves these lies because we're in such a state of confusion, and then when somebody tells you the truth, you upset. And so I tell people around me all the time, how you feel ain't got nothing to do with the outcome you told me you want. If this is the desired outcome, this is what you have to do. And yes, it is going to hurt. Yes, it is going to be hard. Yes, it's not going to go the way you think it's going to go. Well, I just don't think I'm walking in my purpose because you're not doing anything. See, the only reason you feel you're not walking in your purpose is because you're in a state of confusion. But when you have something to do and you're doing it with purpose, I promise you, you won't feel that way. Look, let me tell y'all something. This shit is brutally hard. Excuse my French. This stuff is brutally hard. Is it bad to get any Navy Federal through someone else access? No, it's not bad. It's not bad. But I want y'all to know there's more than one, there's more banks out there than just Navy Federal. As a matter of fact, did you guys know? Let me give y'all this. Did you guys know that Navy Federal has a non-arbitration clause in those agreements for people who are getting credit cards with Navy Federal? And so that means that they can deny arbitration when you're going up to try to dispute the accounts. So y'all just be careful. All right. But back to my point. Back to my point. See, when people say, man, life isn't fair, whoever said it was supposed to be? Life is damn hard. It's extremely hard. But it's hard because let's also put this into play. Because 12 years ago, I had to take an inventory of my life. And I remember, and it was one of the hardest things I had to do. And I took inventory of my life. And what I did is I looked at every single decision I made, and I said, where I'm at, is it a direct reflection of the decisions I made, or is it because life is hard? Or is it because the decisions you made your life hard? Yes, because I've been looking up how to find your purpose. You came on just in time. I appreciate that. Hopefully, you give me a follow. So, is it bad that I want a mentor to help at the closing table before taking the leap? No, it's not bad to have a mentor or wanting a mentor. But what I'm saying is that often, and I'm gonna just be brutally honest here, a lot of people get a mentor to put the accountability on the mentor to make them successful. Most people don't even know the purpose of what a mentor is. A mentor is not someone who's going to guarantee your success, because I can't make you do the sit-ups in the gym outside the gym. I can't make you eat the food you're supposed to eat after the workout. Same thing as a mentor. When I'm working with clients, I can't make you do the things that you have to do outside of the accountability that I'm going to give you. And because so many people hire a mentor and then they have the expectation that their life is going to change. Look, if you are going to hire a mentor, you have to be prepared to have a mentor for the next 5 to 10 years. That mentor is not going to help you out of whatever situation you have over 90 days. Now, can they give you steps? Absolutely. But then you have to perfect those steps over and over and over and over. But then what ends up happening is you have to perfect them long enough to get enough data or enough information so that you have the know-how. Everybody type in the chat the term know-how. Type the term know-how. Nobody can make you fall in love with the process. That's when we succeed. Absolutely. Everybody type know how. See, nobody teaching y'all this stuff right here. Let me give you let me give you this breakdown or this scenario. That's all information is. It's know how. If I want to know how to bake a cake and I've never baked a cake before, I may go get a book that has recipes, i.e. the information, so now I know how to bake a cake. But here's what ends up happening. We'll go and watch a video. We'll watch our grandmother. We'll watch our mother bake the cake, and then we'll go and try to duplicate that, not knowing that we missed a step, not knowing that they didn't tell us all of their secrets. But all I have to do is go and get the book and make it a few dollar investment to get the actual information so I have the know-how. But so many people want to, hey, let me pick your brain and take you to, like, we want to do all of these things and not get the totality of the information to get the know-how, so we have the steps on completing the action steps. But then this is why when you're trying to do real estate, you're in a place of confusion. You're trying to do funding, you're in a place of confusion because you're piecing together 29 different people's ideologies without having the proper know-how. But some people are great with hands-on. That is true. But you still need the know-how to go out there and do the hands-on. You still need the know-how. I like that. Success has ingredients. So yes, the hands-on, it's mandatory actually. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. See, you go and do the hands-on after you get the know-how, because then you got to taste it, and you may see, I forgot the cinnamon, I forgot the vanilla extract. So you have to fail even through learning the know-how so you know what to fix. And because so many people always say, oh, I'm scared to fail. Well, if you don't fail, you don't get the proper data, i.e. know-how, to know what you have to fix. Hence, again, keeping you in a state of confusion. It keeps you in a state of confusion. And so we have to learn how to stop with the random motions, because then let me tell you what ends up happening. Okay. You bake the cake. It doesn't turn out well. You didn't get the proper information. You really didn't know how to bake the cake because you were scared to fail. So you couldn't get the data you need. Right? Nothing wrong with failing. Failing is a part of the process. I often tell people I'm a professional failure, because it's going to give me the data so I can know what I have to fix. But here's what ends up happening, because people are scared to fail. They go out, do something, don't get the proper data. They don't have the proper know-how. They're staying in a state of confusion. And then guess what they go do? They go and find another game to play. Well, since the baking cakes didn't work, let me go and sell ATMs. You didn't even master baking cakes yet. And then that didn't work. So now let me go and rent out cars. Well, that didn't work. Well, now let me go jump into trucking. Well, that didn't work. Well, now let me go sell NFTs. Well, that didn't work. Well, now let me go and do real estate. Well, that didn't work. Well, now let me go and open a barber shop. Like, and so the cycle just continues and continues and continues. And then that didn't work. And then guess what they do? Oh, what? Let me just become a life coach. We done try everything under the sun. Nothing worked. We have no success record. We're still in a state of confusion. And then and then that's when you want to become a life coach. So now, guess what you're doing as a life coach? You out there confusing people. I see this recipe of disaster all the time. That's me. It's sad. I'm working on it for real, for real. But it all adds up to what I want to do, though. We done tried everything under the sun. We're in a state of confusion. We haven't accomplished any of the things that we made an attempt to do. And then we want to go out there and lead people because we say, oh, well, I feel like I can help people. No purpose. You don't really have a product to offer to people. You don't really have a barometer to measure the result of the people you're helping, but all you're doing is making them feel good while you're on the call with them, and then after that, they're stuck. Being peaceful. What is the solution? I don't know what your solution is, family. I haven't talked to you. I haven't worked with you. I don't know what your hiccups are. I don't know what's confusing you. I'm just here to give you guys a little bit of direction to help you to get out of a state of confusion, because most people don't even know that they are in a state of confusion. Most people don't even know. Now they know that they're the hamster on the wheel. They know that they haven't really produced any results. And see, I had to be brutally honest with myself about 10 years ago and saying, man, why am I doing all this stuff and I'm not getting anywhere? Because you haven't been doing anything. See, we confuse busy with productivity. See, we confuse grinding with production. Grinding is not production or is not productive. It's not. We've confused all of these things. But first, you have to look yourself in the mirror and ask, am I in a state of confusion? Am I moving with random motion? I want you guys to type this in the chat for me. Who do you listen to? Type that in the chat. Who do you listen to? Let me tell y'all something. We've taken this whole thing of, man, this is my day one. We've taken that to a whole nother level. We'll listen to someone who's never provided any level of success in their lives, but we'll go ask them. Now, see, some people are typing, they listen to themselves. Maybe that's the problem. Again, I'm not being funny. Maybe you listening to yourself is the problem. Because how can you listen to yourself if you don't have the answers? These are just thoughts that I want you to think about. If you're still stuck and you say you listen to yourself, maybe that's the problem. Myself and Denzel Washington and Steve Harvey. I don't know if you try to be funny with that one or not, but maybe we need to stop listening to the celebrities. Maybe we need to stop listening to our mama. Maybe I'm not trying to be funny, y'all. I'm not trying to be funny. But some of this stuff is so sad that it is funny. No disrespect. Okay? Let me share this with you guys. I don't get advice from my mother. I don't. I do not get advice from my mother. Why? Because she hasn't shown me the life that I wanted to have, nor does she have the financial uh, 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 savviness in order for us to elevate. Because if she did, our family would be in a different place financially. Now, fortunate enough that I was willing to get the know-how, and it took a considerable amount of sacrifice and investing and failure and years and years and years and years of going through difficult times for me to put myself in a position I'm in, to where now I'm one of my mother's teachers financially. My YouTube channel is Will Roundtree. Doc Motivate said it costs too much to be poor. That needs to be on a shirt. I don't get advice from my aunts. I don't get advice from my uncles. I don't get like so when I say who do you listen to, and when people are saying myself, maybe that's the problem. See, we always say, well, I want to invest in value. The average person doesn't know what value looks like because they haven't created value, nor has anyone exchanged value with them. But what ends up happening is, because we've never been like, let's just be real here. Most people have never been around wealth. The average person has never been around money. If you ask the average person what's a lot of money, you'll hear $20 an hour, you'll hear 75,000 a year. They'll say six figures, but six figures to 90% of the people means $100,000. So most of us have never even dreamed big enough to even know what value looks like. And unfortunately, here's how we create. Here's what we've done to create a barometer for success. What kind of car you drive? What kind of neighborhood you stay in? That's the barometer that people use for success. But did y'all know that there's $1 trillion worth of debt in auto loans, where we're about to experience one of the biggest auto loan financial bubbles in our lifetime? So all of those people who you think drive nice, they are not rich. They're not. And but oh, y'all got the comments going. 1 billion. That's monetary. I want I want that to sink in. Let that sink in for a second. We don't even know what a lot of money is. We've never been around wealth. We we we've never we don't own real estate portfolios. We don't own real businesses. Let me tell you guys something you may or may not know. I don't even like to be considered a credit repair guy. I don't. Because that is, and I'm going to just be honest, most people have abused this industry so bad. 99% of the people who operate as a credit repair company, they're not a real company. They're not. Now, are they making money? Absolutely. But they can't sell the business. The business has no valuation. These Toro businesses, these trucking companies, all of the things that people jumped into because they're in states of confusion. They don't know what they're doing. It's the blind leading the blind. And so we don't know what value is. If I asked anybody on here, what is the multiplier for your industry if you were to sell your business? Could you even tell me? If I were to ask you, how do you come up with your valuation of your company? Could you even tell me? I view you as a wealth strategist, a wealth advisor, definitely not a credit repair guy. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Coach, most people don't even know what the EBA dot is, the multiplier. Or is it a SDE? Is it an EBA dot business? Like most people don't know this stuff. We need to stop buying things to impress others that don't care about us. I'm gonna be honest, that'll never stop. Like we have to just start being honest with ourselves. These are things that'll never stop. And I'm not even saying that you shouldn't want nice cars or nice houses, but are you even really in position to do so? For those who just joined me, I'm talking about, are you in a state of confusion? Confusion, when you break that down, it's random motion. I see so many people out here who are just lost. Just lost. Let me give you some other definitions of, some other synonyms of confused. Distraught. Are you distraught? Are you perplexed? Are you baffled? Are you puzzled? Are you dazed? Are you disoriented? Are you confused? Bushwhacked. When a person asks me, hey, I want to do this, how long will it take me to become a millionaire or get my first house or do this or do that? That lets me know they're in a state of confusion because they don't even have their basics in order yet. For some reason, the BS sounds nice to our community. That's true, Melissa. See, I don't deliver the information in a package that a lot of people enjoy. I'm not going to come on here and tell you you can get the G Wagon for having an LLC. I'm not going to tell you you're going to make $1 million. Because for one, that's not the audience I want. 90% of the stuff I do, I don't even announce. 90% of the things I do, I don't even announce because it I use my media to share to share information. Now, granted, the lifestyle stuff you got to sprinkle a little of that in there because people need to see that they need to see that you ain't fell off and all of this stuff. But I think it confuses people even more. See, I'm not looking to have 10 million people, with the false expectation that they can be where I'm at. I only want to deal with people who are serious and know that it's going to take some work. It's interesting. I did an event in Milwaukee this past weekend, and I asked people, what is wealth? I asked people. I'm asking you guys, what is wealth? Someone asked, how do you guys make it possible to delete inquiries on open accounts? Like, how is it done? I can't tell you that one. We're just good at what we do. We're good at what we do. I've never considered myself in position to impress others because those aren't my goals. Educating my people to live better should be the goal. Let's talk about that. I know we often talk about educating being like we want to help the people. And let me tell y'all something. Most of the people don't want the help. They they want the handout. Your goal should be to help yourself. But again, what is wealth? Now, I see people are saying freedom, but how do you get the freedom? See, and I'm not knocking anybody, but these are the type of conversations that need to be had. Your definition of wealth is freedom. See, we have to stop making up our own definitions. That's the thing. We have to stop making up our own definitions. When somebody say, well, to me, wealth is this. That's the problem. So going back to what I mentioned, when I said, who do you listen to? And when you say yourself, that's the problem. We don't even know. We're chasing after something where we don't even know what it is. Let me make this very simple for you. And you only live once, put it. Wealth is an accumulation of assets. It's that simple. You can't have freedom if you don't have assets. It's that simple. So, as much as we like to say wealth is freedom, it's not. It's an accumulation of assets. So, we have to stop making up these terminologies for ourselves when they have dictionaries, dictionary of banking terms that we can use to get these definitions. And so what we do is we think being an entrepreneur is freedom. It's being an entrepreneur is not freedom, especially if you don't own nothing. Let me say that again. Being an entrepreneur is not freedom because you're going to go from working 40 hours a week to 80 hours a week. You're going to go from working 40 hours a week to 100 hours a week. Everybody type this in the chat. Being an entrepreneur is not time freedom. Running a business is not time freedom. Go ask the franchise owner who owns McDonald's if he has time freedom. The answer is no. Go ask the person who owns the barber shop if he has time freedom. The answer is no. Go ask the person who owns the restaurant if he has time freedom. The answer is no. Entrepreneurship feels like war. You hit it right on the head, Melissa. So, what about the term when you say own nothing, control everything? We haven't made it that far yet. We don't even know what wealth is to own anything. or to not own anything. Essentially, and I'll give you just a quick synopsis of what that means. Essentially, it means that you make your companies and your trust own everything. So the trust owns it, you control it. But we don't own enough, so that's a mute point. I'm gonna give you all a lesson today. Entrepreneurship is not time freedom. So when people say, I want to work for myself so I can have time and spend time with my kids, it doesn't work like that, y'all. Stop listening to these people on the internet. How can you have time freedom driving a truck for 19 hours a day? Like that part is just common sense. And then you wonder why not only are you frustrated, but also confused why you in that truck. No disrespect to my truck drivers, but somebody done convinced you to go start a trucking company. You know nothing about business, so you don't know how to hire nobody. And so now, guess what? You driving 18 hours a day and wonder why. Doc, you funny, said he gonna cry in the truck. So now you driving 18 hours a day, wondering why you ain't got time freedom, even though you work for yourself. Period. I was close, just to not exact. Wealth is an accumulation of valuable economic measures, aka assets. So when I hear people say, I'm a real estate flipper, you about to work forever, fam. You're about to work forever. If you don't own the property, you work forever. If you don't own, did you know that when you own a McDonald's, you will never own the building? McDonald's owns the real estate. That's how they make their money. The average person, unless you got 10 McDonald's and you have somebody that runs them for you, you are working in there 80 hours a day. It has always been interesting to me that people use the name of the company they work for as the flex. I work for Google. That person could be sweeping the garbage. No disrespect to my janitors, but we're so title driven. We're so like we beat on our chest with these titles and accolades and all of these things. But we, because we're in such a state of confusion, this is why we're operating without purpose. So being an entrepreneur is not time freedom. So let me ask you all again, what is wealth? And not to you. I don't want to hear the, well, to me, wealth is, no, I want to know what is wealth. Yeah, you pay for the name. So let me ask you all again, what is wealth? And not to you. Because again, when I ask you who are you listening to, that's why you're in a state of confusion, because you're listening to the voice that don't know enough about enough. All right. Katina said wealth is an accumulation of assets. So please help me. What is an asset? Your business is not an asset because it ain't even a real business. You don't have no bylaws. You don't have, you're not recording minutes. If you got an LLC and you're not recording minutes, your business, your corporate veil could be pierced. When you sign an agreement, when somebody sends you an agreement in your business name and you just put Will Roundtree, I can now pierce your corporate veil of your LLC because you're signing it as Will Roundtree, but not as the actual member of the LLC. See, they ain't teach y'all this one in LLC 101 and how to go set up the LLC to get the G Wagon and then get the Navy Federal. Don't nobody teach y'all that. IRS is going to start asking for minutes. Absolutely. No operating agreement. It's like, so your business is not an asset. You can't sell it. So I'm gonna ask you all again. What are some assets? This is wealth class 101. Well, not even 101. This is wealth class one. Wealth class one, not 101. We gotta start from the basic. This is what they should have been teaching in economics in the 6th grade. An asset is something that's paid for, free and clear. That is not true. That part is not true. That part is not true. Now, yes, it's paid. An asset can be paid for, but having it paid for doesn't. So you can have debt on a property and it's still considered an asset. Why? Because you can liquidate it. A trademark is only an asset when there's value there. Melissa, you going into the weeds. Come on, let's not. We can't go that far yet for them, Melissa. Let's just let's just stay on the surface. You got a whole nother level of understanding. It's unfair that you're that smart. Okay. An asset that pays you while you're asleep. I get that. I'm asking a very direct question. Again, this is why we're confused because we want to come up with cute things to say. What is an asset? It's a very direct question. My time is an asset. Okay. I'm asking y'all, what is an asset? Or what are some assets? Now, if I would have said, why is Jeannie Ma and Jeezy getting divorced? Oh, the timeline would be flooded. Everybody would know the answer to that. Everybody would know why Jeannie Ma and Jeezy getting divorced, but we can't spout out assets. So basically, assets are things that something that appreciates in value and that you can liquidate. The opposite of a liability. Y'all do know y'all could just look up the term. And I'm asking, what are some assets? What are some assets? I'll read you guys what an asset is in the banking definition of banking terms. Okay. Asset, anything owned by a person or organization having monetary value, usually its cost or fair market value. An asset may be a specific property, such as title to real estate or other tangible properties or enforceable claims against others. That's what an asset is. So, yes, a Rolex could be an asset, a real Rolex. Rico said real estate, art, gold, these are all assets. So, the only way you can get time freedom is by having assets that pay you. And assets has nothing to do with working. So now, how do you get assets? Thank you, Northern Downpour. It's nothing wrong. I see. Looking up things is how you get the know-how. It's how you get the information. Don't ever be ashamed. I have dictionaries here that I use all the time. Real estate terms, like yeah. How do you obtain assets? How do you obtain assets? You don't use brokerage accounts for real estate. I'm looking for something very specific. I know, Melissa. Sometimes I gotta. It's interesting. I quit college because of I quit college because of my economics class, and now I'm coming on here teaching y'all economics. This is really what I'm teaching y'all. All right, I'm gonna help y'all out here. Write this down in the chat. You obtain assets through investing. Through investing. You obtain assets through investing. Everybody type the word investing. Everybody type the word investing. Investing in like what? In assets. You invest in assets. And we just broke down what are some assets. Things that appreciate in value, things that you invest in that make you money. So the only way you can have time freedom is you have to make money without working. So if starting a business is not you making money without working. Starting a business means you have to work that business. Now, running a company, does anybody know the difference between owning a business and owning a company? Does anybody know the difference between owning a business and owning a company? Does anyone know the difference between owning a business and owning a company? So I done missed my gym appointment tonight messing with y'all. But we gonna get y'all right. I'm gonna just hit the gym later. And I meant messing with y'all in a good way. All right. An investment, purchasing an asset, lending one's money, or contributing to a venture in hopes of receiving a return of funds vested and a return on investment from those funds. An asset purchase for the purpose of preserving and increasing wealth. Example: Bob bought the house as an investment. He planned to rent it out for a few years, then resell it at a price substantially higher than he paid. His goal is to be able to live off his investments. So the way you have wealth, yes, this slide, I am saving this slide. So you can't live off of a job forever because you can't retire nowadays. ROI stands for return on investment. So we are doing things where we don't even know what we're doing. It is called the Dictionary of Real Estate Terms. The Dictionary of Real Estate Terms. Also have this one. Are you investing in the know-how? So now in the Black Laws Dictionary, let me read the definition of investment. Investment, an expenditure to acquire property or assets to produce revenue. Let me read that again. An expenditure to acquire property or assets to produce revenue. So all of this stuff that people think what an asset is or what they're investing is, if it is not producing revenue, it is not an asset. It's impossible. Now, can buying trinkets be assets? Yes, because they produce revenue. But just know if you don't have a system put in place to get paid while you're not there, you have to be the one selling the trinkets all the time. I highly recommend you guys go get these dictionaries. SOPs, standard operating procedures. Definition of an asset. Per Black Law Dictionary. You can get it right on Amazon. The difference between owning a company and owning a business. Owning a business means you're a solopreneur. You bought a job. Owning a company is you actually have a company that has an organization, that has employees or work for hire contractors. You have standard operating procedures. You have systems in place for the company to operate and function in spite of you. So if you have to drive your trucks, you have a trucking business. If you have people to drive your trucks, you have a trucking company. Big difference. Let me read asset. An item that is owned and has value. An item that is owned and has value. Let me show y'all another book that I have. This one you may not be able to find. See, I have an unfair advantage from a lot of people out here because I invested in the know-how. Like what Melissa said, a company is lendable, scalable, and sellable. Them credit repair businesses are not. And I'm not knocking credit repair companies. I started one, but then I converted it into a company. It's called Financial Life Cycle Program. Financial Life Cycle Program. This is like from the 80s. I actually bought this at a like it was I found this old like it may have been like a garage sale or somewhere, but I know they had a bunch of old books, and I got these, and I got this. This will let you know how old this is. It has cassette tapes. I can't even listen to this, but they have some good lessons in here. and it has investing properly modules, and it breaks down some things. I'll read a few things in here for y'all. I'll read a few things in here for y'all. Like, a lot of people don't even know what like a lot of these terms in business means. Like, a lot of people don't know the difference between income. You know, income is something that is taxed. So here's the thing. Right. You just surprised it didn't come with an 8-track? Yeah, this thing is old, y'all. See, here's the thing. As long as you make money, it's hard to get ahead. See, the real wealth and the real time freedom is a couple different things. One, to mitigate tax liability. Somebody type that in the chat. You have to be able to mitigate your tax liability. Writing off all your expenses, that's not tax liability. Writing off your expenses and having and trying to get a refund, that's not a tax liability. But let me tell you how to mitigate your taxes by becoming an investor. Now, I'm not saying this as a flex, but I put out over $250,000 last week alone in investments. I just made a sizable investment into a development deal, and you guys will see that probably coming up Wednesday. I purchased 3 more investment properties, and I invest into a turnkey business. I only invest in things that are already making money. The development deal, let me tell y'all how sweet this development deal is. The development is already in process. So there's a tangible product, a tangible asset there, that how I can mitigate my risk is by being able to liquidate against it. Have my attorneys review the contract. So we have to start learning these things, but we're in states of confusion with random motion because we don't even know the basics of the basics. We don't know what wealth is. We don't know what debt is. We don't know what like we don't even know what half of these terms we're using is. And then we wonder why we are in a state of confusion. We're listening to ourselves, who is also in a state of confusion. We're asking our parents for advice. We're asking our boyfriends, our girlfriends, our day ones, our this and that, and what and that and that. And that. Like, we're doing all of these things. And so take inventory. This is what I'm going to leave you guys with. Take inventory of the individuals around you. Remove the emotions. Remember, that's what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is where you remove the emotions and make decisions merely off of logic. You only make decisions off of logic. You only make decisions off of logic. Not being clear on who you are, your values, increases confusion. Take inventory and remove emotion. You have to. You have to remove emotion. So I want you guys to take inventory this week. Utilize logic. Remove the emotions. I don't care if that person's a good person. They're still in a state of confusion. See, we've made good synonymous with, oh, this person know what they're doing because they're a good person. They wouldn't steer me wrong. Well, their car hasn't driven far enough for you to get the right information for it to be right. We have to be very careful, y'all, and ask yourself, why am I in a state of confusion? Am I willing to make the necessary investments in self to get out of confusion? Can I stop going to happy hour? Am I going to stop celebrating my birthday? Your birthday should not be celebrated this year if you are in a state of confusion. Because after your birthday, you're going to be even in more confusion. Because you're going to wonder why, man, I just can't seem to catch up on my bills because you spent it all on your birthday. I guarantee you, if you took an inventory on what you spend to feel good, you will figure out why you're in confusion. You done spent all your logic away. You can't even invest in a book because you had to get your hair done. You had to go to your man's album release party. Like we find ways to stay in confusion and then get mad when you join one session from your favorite guru. You done been to one class, you done made one investment in his mentorship program or in her mentorship program, and saying, man, she a scam or he a scam. No, you didn't. Like, I tell people all the time, you're not gonna learn everything to change your total life in 90 days. You got to keep practicing that. And if you're not willing to continuously keep investing, because last time I checked, you have to invest in college every semester. And I didn't even complete college, and I know that part. You had to invest every semester. Every semester, you got to invest in college in a new course. You don't say, man, I took calculus 101. Why I need 201? No, you go take 201 and you pay that fee or you get that student loan debt, even though you tell people you scared of debt and you just keep on trucking. Get out of state of confusion. Love from the UK. What up? Supposed to be back out there soon. King Brian, what up, man? We missed you in Milwaukee, bro. Get out of state of confusion. So if you're not owning real estate, you're gonna work forever. This is what I'm gonna end it with. If you ain't buying nothing that's gonna pay you, you're gonna work forever and you're gonna do nothing and like it. Period. Getting funding is not gonna change your life if you don't do nothing with the funding. People say, man, if I can just, I'm stuck because of lack of capital. No, it's not. That's not it. That's not it. You're stuck because you don't have a purpose. I had somebody 2 weeks ago, no, about 3, 4 weeks ago, who recently joined my REI 90 program. I did a webinar, I think it was like the 17th of August. And I said, the reason why you claim you want to do real estate and you can't, it may be the money. But I'm going to eliminate all your excuses. And I'm going to tell y'all what I told them on this webinar. I'm going to eliminate all your excuses on saying, I don't have the money to learn how to do real estate. I now have a financing program where I can finance you no matter what your credit score is. Now, you still got to be able to afford the monthly payment, but as opposed to having to come up with a huge payment, I can now finance it over micro payments over the course of 12 months at 0% interest. And she hit me back and she said, Will, I have a 490 credit score and I signed up and I got approved and now I'm in your REI 90. And then not only did she go there, she booked a ticket paid to come to the REI 90 infield training in Milwaukee. And before she left, she said, Will, I will have my first property in 90 days. That's purpose. Purpose isn't, oh, I want to give back to the Black community. That's not purpose. That is not purpose. As much as we think it is, stop letting them people on TV and them celebrities and all of them media outlets confuse you. That is not purpose. You really think that Jay-Z, Puffy, Rick Ross, and all these people couldn't end homelessness? You really think they couldn't make sure every Black person was eaten? Their purpose is not giving back. Their purpose is doing what's right for them and then being able to help those around you who deserve the help. But the true purpose is knowing what it is that you're going to do. That's purpose. Not saying, oh, I'm going to give to the less fortunate. That's not purpose, y'all. That is not purpose. Now, I'm not saying you can't do those things, but you're so confused that you're utilizing that as your driving force. That cannot be your driving force because clearly it's not a big enough why that makes you want to do whatever you got to do to get in position. I often ask people, if your why is your kids, your spouse, your mama, your daddy, then you doing it for the wrong reason. Because if they really was your why, you would have no excuses on why you still where you are. You would have no excuses on why you confused. Because clearly your babies, your baby daddy, your baby mama, your boo, your day one, your like they're you're not doing it for them. And no matter how you feel about them, the why will never be strong enough to do it for them. You have to be so selfish with your why. You have to do it for you. Because the only way you're going to save your babies, your mama, your daddy, your baby mama, your husband, your wife, the only way you're going to save them is if you save yourself first. And if you're not willing to be selfish with your goals, then you're going to continue to stay in a state of random motion. It's no way around it. And you can go to all of the life coach mentorships and walk on glass and jump out of a building and deep sea water dive with the whales and do all of those things. But if you're not clear on your purpose and you're not right within yourself and you stand in a state of confusion, now you'll feel good walking on water. You'll feel good in that conference. Like all those things that help you feel good in that moment. But when you go back and close them eyelids and find out, and you scratching your head to sleep, you're going to wake up in a state of confusion because you did all of those things with no purpose. You just did it so you could post it. Let me tell y'all something. Nobody give a damn about you walking on that glass at that workshop. You gotta get yourself right. Feel good tactics. Absolutely. They're all feel good tactics. And guess what? You keep paying back to go and wondering why you confused because and you'll pay more for that than just to pay to get the data to fix your problems. We love medicine, but we hate prevention. We love medicine. If y'all haven't done so, go watch the documentary Painkiller on Netflix. It's about the Oxycontin epidemic. And it will make you sick when you watch it for what they did to our country. So let's get out of state of confusion. I appreciate y'all. Uh, and yeah, let's focus on economics, and let's stop using terms like I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor. And I said the other day, if you got investor in your title, but you scared to spend some money, take investor out. Painkiller. The documentary on Netflix is called Painkiller. If you're scared to take on financial risk, you're not an entrepreneur. You have hobbies. Let me share this one last story. Y'all know we get at least three closes. We get at least three closes. But let me leave y'all with this real quick. I was talking with someone earlier today, one of my clients, and she made a comment. She said, I want to be able to play it safe and this and that and that and that and that. And I cut her off. And I said, look up the definition entrepreneur. So she looked it up. I had her read it back to me. And it said, and basically, an entrepreneur is one who's willing to assume greater than normal financial risk. And I said, is it playing it safe in taking on greater than financial risk? And she said, no. And I said, so you either going to do this as a hobby or you really trying to be an entrepreneur? Because then from the entrepreneur, then I got to help you get into the investor quadrant. You don't play it safe. You mitigate risk, and you mitigate risk by having the information, aka know-how. That is the only way. And then, unless you're willing to actually have assets, you will work forever, and you are going to enjoy it, and you are going to retire off 40% of what they paid you, where you couldn't even survive at the 100%. So you damn sure well ain't gonna be able to survive at the 40%, and then you're gonna go right back to work. Become that life coach at 60. Let me stop beating up the life coaches. But I'm really playing. Well, I'm serious, but I'm playing. But that's all in states of confusion. So appreciate y'all. Y'all go out there. Let's have a good week. If you want to learn more about my REI 90 program, again, we can finance it no matter what your credit is. DM me REI to have someone reach out. Matter of fact, if you DM me REI, I will personally call you. Okay, DM me REI. I'm going to personally call you tomorrow, tell you about my REI 90 program. Let's get you out of state of confusion. My REI 90 program is where we give you all of the information to get your first property in 90 days, period. But you got to put in the work. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. YouTube, I appreciate y'all. And I will see y'all at the top. Peace.